Welcome back, troops. Let's tab 59. Beautiful July summer's day here in England. And today, me and the Trace Around, she's just here.
Hi, everybody.
Me and the Trace Around have come to Staffordshire, right in the centre of the United Kingdom, to the UK's National Memorial Arboretum. It's our centre of remembrance, if you like. It's 150 acres of parkland, woodlands. It's free to get in. You do have to pay for your parking. Your parking is £8 on the day, or you can go online and book it in advance. It's only £5. So you save £3 price of a coffee. We got here, it was quite an easy drive from Lincolnshire, just over 2 hours. There's over 400 individual memorials here, mostly to the military, but not exclusively to the military. There's a lot of civilian stuff here as well, and a lot of stuff to the blue light services, and we'll pick those up as we go along, hopefully. Now I'm going to take you around. I'm not going to do the whole place because it would just be too long. I'm just going to give you a flavour and pick out a few of the memorials that I think some of you might be interested in. So that's what we're doing. Let's have a look. So here's the main walkway. You can just see over my shoulder there. That's the centrepiece of the Arboretum Memorial. That wall up there, a series of walls up there, it's covering about 16,000 names of everybody, sailors, soldiers and airmen and women, that lost their lives after World War II, from 1945 right up to the present day. We'll go up there and have a little look, and I'll show you around the wall there. Absolutely fantastic. And I'll show you the way it's been designed so that on Remembrance Day, or Armistice Day, on the 11th hour, the 11th day, 11th month, when the sun comes up, it splits through a little gap in the wall and lights the centrepiece of that. Obviously, you won't be able to see it today, but that's what happens on the 11th at 11 o'clock. I'll go up and take a closer look at that in a moment. Just around me here where we've walked up, let me just gently turn you around. This walkway leading up there, you can see I'll just come back from the main entrance of the building. A lot of cavalry stuff there, lots to do with the cavalry. In fact, if I walk you over here, just spin you around, so you can see some of the memorials. There's the King's Hussars, 14th, 20th Hussars, Royal Dragoon Guards, the King's Royal Hussars, there's the Scots Dragoons, and all the way around the Queen's Royal Hussars, Queen's Royal Lancers. So this sort of area here of the Arboretum is very much centred around mounted units and the cavalry. So we'll take a little bit walk round, show you a bit more. So we've just come across the Basra Wall. Now this wall was erected by the Royal Engineers out in southern Iraq in Basra, just outside the headquarters of the multinational division headquarters. And they built the wall, and every time we lost somebody, a brass plaque was added to the wall. After the end of the Operation Telic, the wall was dismantled and brought here to the Arboretum, National Arboretum, and rebuilt. Now, on this wall, I've got a couple of friends. Tracy certainly has a close friend. Tracy's got some flowers today. She's going to pay her respects to Flight Lieutenant Sarah Jane Mullival, and I'll just find her plaque there. Now, Sarah was originally a member of the same Territorial Army unit that Tracy served with, and after a while she decided, Sarah Jane decided to join the Royal Air Force, the regular, and she got commissioned as an officer, and as you can see, she was a flight lieutenant, and unfortunately lost her life in Iraq in 2006 in Basra, and a helicopter was brought down. Awful incident. There was others along with her that perished. So Tracy just wanted to pay her respects there. If you're wondering why Tracy has placed yellow roses there rather than traditional poppies, let me explain. Yellow roses are a symbol of lasting friendship and something that's often used, and Tracy chose that today rather than the poppies. So nice yellow rose to remember her friend. In fact, Sarah, when she was part of the Territorial Army unit that Tracy was in, used to babysit our daughter Stephanie. She was a dear friend and a sad lost Kent girl. Here's an interesting one, and a fairly new one, I believe. This is obviously you can see it's a vaulting horse from the old gymnasiums, and of course it is the Royal Army Physical Training Corps, which originally was this APTC, Army Physical Training Corps, but I can't remember what year they got the royal title, but they did. And this is a memorial to them. It could have been a vaulting horse, or it could have been a great big bottle of hair gel. 10 times around my beautiful body, go! Another fantastic old regiment here that is long gone. Unfortunately, the Gloucesters, the glorious Gloucesters. What a fantastic regiment they were. The old Braggs. Look at that. Neither kings nor queens nor Royal Marines, but 28th old Braggs. Brass before and brass behind. Never feared a foe of any kind. Famously fought in the Korean War. And they were the original unit that had the 2 cap badges. So I'm sure a lot of you remember. There you go, look. 1994 was when they were amalgamated. Initially, they were amalgamated into what was the RGBW, Royal Gloucestershire, Berkshire and Wiltshire Regiment. And then later that became the Rifles. Here we got a memorial to the Queen's own Highlanders, Seaforth and Cameroons. They were around from 1961 to 1994. Again, got hit with the amalgamations. Fantastic statue here. You can see it depicting a soldier there in what was the early days of Northern Ireland, because he's got the old Vietnam style flak jacket on, and he's carrying an SLR there. And you note that the SLR, true to form, he's got the sling going up from the forward swivel and up and around his wrist, and that's how we carried it. You see he's carrying just a couple of pouches. We had an ammunition pouch and a water bottle pouch, and he's even wearing the old Northern Ireland patrol boots. No putties, because when you've done an urban tour in Northern Ireland, Operation Banner in those days, you got issued a special pair of boots for that tour, and he's wearing them there. What a fantastic statue. The Queen's own Highlanders. So here we are at the foot of the steps going up to the main memorial. And you notice here these this handrail here, you can see. So this has been cast from the ropes of HMS Victory. I think that's a really nice touch. And they use those like that. And what a great sight that meets you as you get to the top of these steps and into the memorial itself. The walls either side, you can see, covered in the names. Royal Navy, Army, Royal Air Force personnel that have been killed since 1945. All the names inscribed up here. You can see this is the first year that it was done. This is up there, 1945 Royal Navy, and then all the Army names, Royal Air Force, Royal Navy, Army, all the way down. All these names, 16,000 names. Here at the centre, you can see there's several statues. And we'll take a closer look at those as we go round. What we're looking for now is Tracy, as you saw, had laid some yellow roses for her friend, Flight Lieutenant Sarah Mullerville, on the Basra wall. Now what we're going to do is trying to locate her name on the main wall here. So it's fairly easy to do. You look for the year that that person lost their life, and there'll be a corresponding stone with that year on it, and you just simply look down. So we'll try and find that. So there's one of the main statues here that you can see. You see the guy carving the statues, actually doing some stone masonry, if you like. We will remember them today, tomorrow, forever. And then you've got these two figures here, a female medic, a Gurkha, and somebody obviously seriously injured on the floor. And then just over to there, the other side there, you can see it's a guy pointing through this shaft, through this space. A shaft of sunlight falls on the 11th hour, on the 11th day of the 11th month. Another main sculpture in the centre here, where the shaft of light comes through. You can see there's a wife there, the small child, and over here somebody comforting somebody, and then the lads lifting a stretcher up high of a wounded comrade. All the names surround on all these walls. And as you see the shaft over there, the gap where the shaft of light comes through, it's on the 11th hour, it lands there on that centerpiece wreath. So here then Tracy has managed to find her friend again, Sarah Mullerville. You see there it says 2006, starts with the Royal Navy, goes through the Army personnel, a lot there on that year. We get to the Royal Air Force, we come down, there it says Mullerville S. And Tracy's paid another tribute to her there with a single yellow rose. Now another sobering thought is, you come over here and looking at the last inscriptions, and yeah, 2024, and then all this wall, all I'm scanning round now, let me just scan round, all this wall here, all these stones are blank, all the way round, as you can see on the left there to the end, all those stones are blank. And that's a very sobering thought, because obviously they've thought ahead to future conflicts and accidents, training accidents on exercise, etc. They've thought they need the extra space. Couldn't walk past this one. Got to pay mention to our brothers and sisters from the Royal Air Force. So just behind me now, let me swing around and show you this one. One down there, first of all, to the Royal Air Force Fire and Rescue Service. You can see there's a rescue fireman's helmet at the bottom there. Well, let's just gently swing you around and show you this fantastic tribute to the Royal Air Force. That is so nice. Let's walk in towards it a little bit. There we will remember them. What a fantastic tribute to the Royal Air Force. And you can see the RF roundel sort of split into 4 segments, and all the way around the outside here are the names of different Air Force personnel. How fantastic is that? So this area of the Arboretum, there's many RAF memorials. There's one just down there, you can just see it in the distance, the red stripe around the bottom. That's a Royal Air Force Police. Enough said about them, shall we say. So we just come across the memorial to the Afghanistan campaign, 2001 to 2014. Very lovely memorial. And as you can see, there's a lovely inscription in the centre wall here. When you go home, tell of us and say, for your tomorrow, we gave our today. And then flanking either side, there's 6 tablets here with all the names of the service personnel, when they died, the name and what regiment they served with. And the same again on the other wall, another 6 tablets with all the names engraved. Very fitting tribute to a horrific campaign. So we've just come across a lovely memorial to the Canadian, the Royal Flying Corps, the Royal Air Force, the Royal Canadian Air Force. And this memorial, as you can see, goes right from World War I right through until today. Since the Second World War, Canadian Air Force personnel have served combat missions in the Persian Gulf, Kosovo, Afghanistan, Bosnia and Libya. Fantastic. So to all my Canadian friends out there watching this, just know that there's a lovely memorial to your Air Force guys over here in UK. Well done, Canada. So another one that's quite poignant to Tracy actually is this one here, the Duke of York's Royal Military School Memorial. Now this school still exists today, been going for a long time. It's located down in Dover, and Tracy ran the post office initially and tuck shop, and then later just the tuck shop, in memory of the Dukies who gave their lives in the service of their country. So Tracy's put the last yellow rose down in friendship to the Duke of York's Royal Military School. A lovely tribute. Any old Dukies watching this, just know you've got a memorial up here. As you can see, there's this lovely water feature that comes right down with a path running next to it. And as we've walked around this area, we've seen there's so many families, young children just sitting here having picnics. There's plenty of places to do that. Plenty of benches to sit down and just reflect on stuff. And while I've got us just here by this water feature, I'm going to swing you around because even Thomas the Tank Engine gets a mention. Check this badger out. The Railway Industry Memorial. It's turned up, but it was late by about 5 minutes because there was leaves on the track. But there's a lovely memorial, all joking aside, to the railway industry. So here we've just come across the Never Forget Memorial Garden. Beautifully set out, as you can see. Each of these red poppies have been organised by somebody to remember a loved one that maybe has passed. And you see their names are placed on them. And it looks like some people have put down just normal wooden crosses, but the actual red poppies you can see on the green sticks, you can place them. And also, if you look around the outside here, you can see the months of the year. There's February, and then just around here is March, and so on. And each of these segments, so of course, whenever it's pertinent date that they died, you can put them in that specific spot. It's a lovely little touch. So here we're coming down the Ulster Ash Grove. Now this memorial is basically for Operation Banner. It's dedicated to the men and women of the Royal Ulster Constabulary as it was in those Op Banner days, but also to the prison service, the armed forces and other organisations. Now if you can see there in the centrepiece with the inscription on it, the poppies at the bottom, but each of these boulders that you see dotted around, each one of these rocks has come from one of the 6 counties of Northern Ireland, and you can see them all there. Londonderry, Tyrone, Armagh, Antrim, Fermanagh and Down. So each of these laid here, and so there is no real permanent memorial for Operation Banner, dedicated to Operation Banner here. This is just covering everybody, the men, women of the Royal Ulster Constabulary, as I say, George Cross, the armed forces and other organisations in service of the Crown who laid down their lives in the course of peace in Northern Ireland, 1969 to 2001. Well, as you know, Operation Banner didn't end till 2007. But it's an interesting point. I remember I come up here one time and the rock that's representing South Armagh was covered in GPMG link, bullet link from GP. Someone had sprinkled a handful of link over it. I noticed it's not there today. There's a further one over here to our brave lads and lasses of the Ulster Defence Regiment. Now, I've said this before, I've done a video dedicated to the Ulster Defence Regiment, and they've received the Conspicuous Gallantry Cross as a regiment. They served from 1970 to 1992, and that's dedicated to them there. As poppy petals gently fall, remember us who gave our all. It's a very fitting tribute to a fine regiment. Another one worth mentioning here we just come across again is the Prisoner of War, the National Ex-Prisoner of War Association. You can see there's 2 small brick walls, obviously symbolising the prison, with the prison gates there, the barred gates, a nice plaque and description on one side, and some actual pictures there of prisoners of war through the wire. And when you go through this, over on the right there, you can just see that's the children's woodland play area. So again, if you're coming up here with children, they have got a little piece of an area to have a picnic and blow off some steam. Little peaceful corner of the Memorial Gardens, and come across a rather unusual memorial here, and it's memorials for everyone who's been affected by terrorism overseas. Rather unusual, but Very well done. A seating area to sit and reflect. Rather unusual sculpture, memorial. Sort of pyramids. Looks like they're sitting in the middle of a globe. So if you do visit here with children, your grandchildren, whatever, when you go in the main building at the beginning, you can pick up a leaflet and follow the Stick Man Trail. And kids can have a look around at how many trees they can see, etc., along a little trail. And the trail actually ends up at that park. But very, very nice. I was a little concerned about the size of the wildlife, actually. I've seen a few squirrels in my time. But that badger there, well, that squirrel there, bit of a big boy. So I was saying about the Stick Man just now. Follow the trail. You need to be observant because somewhere on the trail is the Stick Man himself. Now, if you can manage to find him, apparently it's quite a large carving of the Stick Man. Keep your eyes out. So far, I've not managed to see him, but I know he's around here somewhere, guys. Fantastic memorial to the Fleet Air Arm, as you can see here. What a really, really lovely memorial. A cracking aircraft carrier there, look at that. And round the outside, again, lots and lots of stones. Flying first of the fleet, the Sea Harrier, fallen comrades, of course, the Sea Harrier boys we lost in 82 in the Falklands, Naval Air Squadrons. A fantastic tribute. Royal Naval Buccaneer aircraft. So if you or any of your family connected to the Royal Fleet Air Arm, fantastic memorial here, dedicated to those. An unusual one here with the part of the Royal Navy, the Submariners. Now you guys and girls are a real special breed, and this is the memorial to Submariners. It's done out very, very well. Look at this. Sort of two halves of a conning tower of a submarine, and there's a submariner stood in the centre there looking up. Fantastic. What a lovely memorial. And there, of course, etched up on the side there are the dolphins, which you have to earn, a bit like parachute regiment wings. You don't just get them dolphins, you've got to earn them. A lovely tribute to the Royal Navy and the Royal Submariners. So here we have the main Royal Naval Service Memorial for the Royal Navy. What a fantastic, contemporary, unusual sculpture memorial this one is. There's obviously a statue depicting someone from the Royal Navy, his head slightly bowed, hands clasped behind his back, or her back, I think it's his back, holding his naval cap. And then this beautiful array of glass panels, which, let's have a look down from the inside. What a fantastic, fantastic memorial. Very, very unusual. And that's the Royal Navy. Well done, the RN, senior service. So there, be pleased to inform His Majesty that the white ensign is flying over the Arboretum memorials. God save the King. But in the background there, on that wall, you'll see that this is the South Atlantic Medal Association. So we'll have a look round the other side. Obviously, this is to commemorate the Falklands conflict, or Falklands War, it's not a conflict, it's a war, in 1982. Let's have a look at this. Royal Naval anchor there, Royal Marines, the Army. There's the main plaque, April to June 82. In memory of the 255 sailors, soldiers and airmen who gave their lives, and those who have no known grave but the sea. It's a lovely tribute. Just pan slowly round here. And of course, a plaque in memory of the Falkland Islanders that lost their lives during the liberation of Stanley. Doreen Bonner, Mary Goodwin and Susan Whitley. It's always casualties of war, civilian casualties of war. It's sad, but it always seems to happen. But they're not forgotten, they're here. So, the Gallipoli, 1915, World War One. As many of you know, Gallipoli, hard fought by the Allies with the Turkish, and in the end, they had to withdraw. And this mainly Australians, the Anzacs, New Zealand, they were involved heavily, obviously, in Gallipoli. I know they remember it all the time. But it's a bit poignant to me because my grandfather, World War One, was a gunner in the artillery, and he landed on W Beach alongside the Aussies. So Gallipoli, very important, World War One. And you can see there, guys, anyone from New Zealand watching this, you're not forgotten, lads. Look, the New Zealand reef there been put down. And that is on behalf of the government and people of New Zealand. Very fitting. Nice memorial here for the combat engineers, tradesmen at the centre there. And as I pan round this little garden, there's a beautiful flagpole. And there you go, Martin the Hun. There's your flag, mucker. Royal Engineers flag, CRE, flying above the garden, commemorating the combat engineer tradesmen. Nice one. So that's the end of our little visit here, the National Memorial Arboretum, Staffordshire, UK. Couple of things before we go. They've got some electric invalid scooters here. If anyone needed one of those to get round this place, because here's a bit of a tab. You can book those, they're £10 for the day, but you need to book them in advance. You need to go on the website and ensure you there's limited numbers of those electric scooters. But from what we've seen, everything is easily wheelchair accessible. The land train, I think you can just pay that on the day. One thing I would suggest you do when you get here is make sure you get a map so you can find all the memorials. Big mistake. I know what I'm doing, Trace, follow me. We walked around about 10 times trying to find certain memorials, so make sure you get a little guidebook with a map in it. We're going to leave here now and probably go have another cup of coffee in the cafeteria and maybe a little mooch at the gift shop. I won't film around the gift shop. You don't need to see the gift shop. It's a gift shop. So we're going to do that. But what I thought was rather pointedly before we leave was I'd like to show this last memorial. I did do a video on this subject and I thought it was quite a fitting way to end it because it's quite a sad topic. The Shot at Dawn Memorial. So there's the centrepiece really, which is the young lad there in white, blindfolded. You can see around his neck, it's moving a bit closer. They place an aiming marker hanging in the centre of his chest for the firing squad to aim at. And when you look around all these posts, there's 309 posts here. And each post is representing a soldier or sailor that was shot at dawn. It has their names and their ages on them. Some age right down really young and some up in their 40s. There's one here, for instance. This young guy, Private Byers, Joseph Byers, 1st Battalion Royal Scots Fusiliers, 6th of February 1915, aged 17. And it's interesting because there's a few here, age unknown. Got their names, age unknown. Age unknown. Who was recording these executions? They got their names and their regiments and the day they were shot, their rank, their cap badge, etc. But it doesn't even show their age on some of them. Another one here, from the Gold Coast Regiment, age unknown. Very, very sad place. It's been refurbished recently. I remember coming here originally when these were sort of like quite ropey, these old wooden posts, but they're now sort of made of some kind of more durable resin rather than wood. 309 young men that today would have been diagnosed with PTSD, but no, shot for cowardice. So, just sit down here next to the trace around to finish up. What a great day. So from Lincoln, it took us about 2.5 hours, easy route up. Please, if you've not been here, come and have a look. It's well worth a visit. Isn't that right, Trace Around?
Oh, yeah.
It is. Now, if you're new to our channel and you haven't subscribed, please consider it. I'm not saying do it. I'm saying consider it. Stay safe, troops. Until the next time, remember,
Let's tap.
let's tap.